All right, so electric potential energy, the easiest way to describe it is to recall from mechanics or AP Physics 1 when we did gravitational potential energy. And this was for planetary bodies. This is not near the surface of a planet, but if you had multiple planets or like the sun and the moon, or sorry, sun and the planet or planet and the moon, those kinds of systems, we had this formula, which probably wasn't used very much if you took AP Physics 1, but it was this negative G m1 m2 over r, and it was the gravitational potential energy of two masses. And notice this negative sign here was to indicate that it was a negative potential energy when they were drawn towards each other. Okay, so there's similar thing for electric potential energy of each pair of charges. Okay, it's given by this equation. Very similar, because remember the force of gravity does look like that G m1 m2 over r squared. And then the electric force has got this kq1 q2 over r squared. And you might ask, oh, why is there no negative sign on this one? Well, you got to remember when the planets are kind of like they're always pulling towards each other, always an attractive force. And so the potential energy would be negative. Here, if one's positive and one's negative, then the potential energy is still going to be negative because a positive and a negative charge will be attractive. So it actually keeps the same sign convention as what we did before. And it's derived indicating the amount of work needed to bring the two charges together. I'll make that a separate lesson for those of you in AP Physics C to make sure you understand where this is derived from, but it does require the use of calculus to derive that potential energy. And for this lesson, we're just going to focus on how do we use it to calculate pairs of energy. If they're both the same charge, it's going to be positive potential energy, and if it's one's positive, one's negative, it's going to be negative potential energy, which is very similar to how we did with gravitational potential energy. Now, the core idea of the potential energy is it's the amount of external work needed to bring the two charges together. Okay, so it's almost like if you took two charges, you brought them together, it's the amount of work done. And you got to go back to our unit 3, work and energy, to think about the work it would take to bring those two charges together, or each configuration of charges. It would take work because there's an electrostatic force we have to either fight against in order to bring those charges together, right? And so when we do this, we calculate each pair of charges in a given system. So this is just the mechanics of how we calculate the potential energy, right? So let's say I have the total potential energy of this 3-charge system shown below, right? And the potential energy is going to be K, Q1, Q2 over R. But you always do it for the every pair of charges. So let's say this is charge 1, charge 2, and charge 3. You would do the potential energy between 1 and 2, plus the potential energy between 1 and 3, plus the potential energy between 2 and 3. Every pair, unique pair, indicates some potential energy that we're going to do. So when we do 1 and 2, like these two charges here, it's going to be K, positive Q, positive Q. And then note that we do include the sign of the charge here. We didn't do that with forces because the forces we handled the sign by the direction of our free body diagram. But for potential energy, because it's a scalar quantity, we are going to preserve the sign of the charges in there and not rely on a free body diagram because it's a scalar quantity. It's not a vector quantity, right? And so the sign does matter of the charges here. Now the distance between them, because this is D, this is D, this is D root 2. So this is going to be over D root 2 is the distance between them. Okay, how about 1 and 3? 1 and 3 is going to be K, positive Q. This charge is negative Q, and the distance between them is D. And then between 2 and 3 is going to be Q and negative Q divided by D. Now, these are all KQ squared over D. You could think of it that way. You could factor out a KQ squared over D. This is going to be 1 over root 2. And then this is going to be a negative 1. And then this is going to be a negative 1 as well. So just like that, whatever that number comes out to be, that would be the potential energy. It's going to be overall negative. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's say we have 4 charges in a system, which is the most you would do in AP Physics 2 and AP Physics C. You could do more, but generally they're not going to. It's kind of gets tedious because here when we do the potential energy, there's every pair. We got to do 1 and 2. And I always like start with 1 and say like, oh, 1's got to go with 2, 1's got to go with 3, 1's got to go with 4. Okay, and then let's go to charge 2. We already handled, we don't want to do 2 and 1 because we already handled 1 and 2. So we clue that. We go 2 and then 3, and then 2 also paired with 4. And then last, we go to charge 3. He's already been paired with 1 and 2. We already took up with 1, 3, and 2, 3. So we just have 3 and 4. And then 4 doesn't have any other pairs because we've already handled all the pairs everywhere else. And so that exhaustively handles all of them. So let's look at 1 and 2. So they're all charges. So this would be Q1, Q2. And what's the distance between 1 and 2? That's D. 1 and 3, like these distances are going to be D root 2. So this is going to be K, Q1, Q3 over D root 2. 1 and 4, that distance is D, right? So it's going to be K, Q1, Q4 over D. 2 and 3 is also a distance D, so it's a K, Q2, Q3 over D. Then 2 and 4, that's D root 2 because it's the diagonal, so it's going to be K, Q2, Q4 over D root 2. And then finally 3 and 4 is going to be K, Q3, Q4 over D. And I'm not going to factor. You can only factor out a K and a D. Just leave it like that. Okay. So that's how we calculate the potential energy from multiple charges. Okay.